Hey everyone. So today we're going to be discovering what your future kids are going to be like. What are they going to look like? How are they going to act? Um, Generally, what are they going to do in life? What are they, will they, we'll figure out things like, will they, like, how much will they like you? How much will, how good of a kid will it be in the first place? Will it be like like this is fun because you'll be discovering will your kid be like the super like quiet kid in class? Will they be like a really shy, nervous kid? Will it be a kid who's like really bright and likes to really talk and is very social and likes to interact with everyone? Um, will your kid be a troublemaker? Um, will your kid be like very competitive? Will they like to play sports? Or will they be more artistic in nature? You know, so you're gonna figure out exactly like what type of kid you're gonna have and like what they're gonna be like. So to do this, we're gonna be looking at our D1 chart over here. And more specifically, we're going to be looking at the fifth house. So, uh, before I get going, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and check out our consultations down below. If you want to know any information about your spouse, health, past life, any of these things, you can book a consultation down below. Currently, everything is on sale. Everything is like currently our relationship reading is almost 50% off. Yeah. So, like I was saying, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go through every planet that sits in your fifth house. We're gonna go through all nine and we're gonna see, uh, based on whatever planet comes here, we're gonna see what will be the characteristics of your future kid. And yeah, so let's just get right into it here. Let's say the planet Sun is in your fifth house. So you'll see your kid will be first of all, very intelligent. You'll see they'll be intelligent in class, they'll do well. Um, they'll be a um, very intelligent person. They'll be a very helpful person to others. You'll see that this person, they always like to like help others however they can. So if there's any issues, they always like to provide a service or like suggest a way to, help this person out. So you'll see even from young, like while they're young, they'll like help other kids in class or like they'll help their friends if anything. Like they won't just keep them hanging. It's not like their friends get hurt and then they just run away. They'll be there to help them. These are also the type of people who they'll always like back up their friends too. Like they'll support them, in case of anything. Even, this is even one of those things where it's like, um they've always got like their friends back. Like the people that they care about, they'll always try and defend them or, help them. But to a degree, like if like let's say if you're arguing with someone and you're clearly wrong, like your kids like within reason they'll help you, but if you're clearly wrong, they're not, they'll be like, maybe they won't say anything, but like later they'll be like, Mom, you're clearly wrong, right? Like there's no reason you should have done that, like so they'll at least be fair. They'll be fair in what they say. Um, so yeah, you'll see as well. They'll be like they won't be like a shy person. They won't be afraid to express themselves or to like be who they are. Um, they'll be like very confident in nature. So they won't be shy to like speak or to interact with other people. They'll, you know, they You know, these people as well, they like to be at the center of attention. So you'll see that they like to be in the spotlight where like a lot of people could look at them. And this will especially like benefit them later because they won't be the type of person who's shy to speak in front of like a crowd of people. This is especially true if the sun is exalted here. So if sun is in Aries here, especially like your kid will they they will be able to speak in front of like a large group of people easily, and it'll look effortless. It looks like because you know how some people are like afraid to speak in front of big groups of people. Like this is not them. It look when you watch them speak in front of a big like crowd of people, it'll look like they've been doing this uh forever. Like it looks like they're just like naturally comfortable doing here. It's like they have the attitude of a king where they could lead their people, right? So they'll be very good at making speeches and, you know, like leading other people. They'll have like this leadership quality. You'll see if they're competitive. Let's say if like Mars is associated with this, if Mars aspects or if Mars is here you'll see that your kid will be first of all, they'll be fearless. Like nothing will stop them. And the other thing, they will easily pick up the mantle to like lead other people. So, let's say if like their team is losing or something, they'll like pick up the slack and say like, okay, I need you to switch this position. I need you to do this and this. So you'll see that they'll have that ability to strategize and to like pick up on um like people's like strengths and weaknesses. This is especially what's good about them. They know what certain people are good at and what they're not good at. And they'll be able, as a leader, they'll be able to place people in those correct positions and where they work best. Um, yeah, so that's what you'll see with Sun here. Very confident, very good leader is very comfortable being in the spotlight. Like they're not afraid to do like class presentations. They'll speak. That's true, assuming like Saturn and Ketu are not aspecting this. If Saturn and Ketu are aspecting this, then that won't be true. Or if Ketu is directly with the sun, if that happens, then they'll be shy. But otherwise, it'll remain true. So that's the sun. Here's the moon. Now the moon here, oh, this is a really, really nice position to have. And like especially like as a parent, this is a really nice position to have because this is the type of kid who like will snuggle with you like all the time. Like these are the kids who will always like be with you and hold you and like hug you and uh like they just have like this such emotional like love towards you. So these are the type of kids who like will always like hold their parents to sleep, like they just love being with the parents. um yeah, so you'll see like there'll be like a even you as well as a parent, like you'll develop such an emotional bond with them, like, and it's to the point where it's like you'll be you may get a little nervous like being away from them. Like if you're to send them off to like a camp for like a week, and it's because you're so emotionally attached and you're always thinking of how, like how's my kid gonna do at this camp? He's gonna be alone for like a whole week. Will he be okay? Will he be able to uh, handle being away for so long? Like you'll always have these thoughts, you know. But you'll see, like this kid will be so loving in nature, especially growing up, like in his like younger years, like especially like before like 8 and 9, even beyond that too. You'll see that they'll be like very, very loving and affectionate in nature. You'll see as well your kid, if the moon truly is here, and is not aspected by like Saturn, you'll see that the your kid will be a lot more pale in nature compared to the rest of your family. So you see, they'll be like a bit lighter in complexion. than everybody else, and compared to like their siblings, for examples. Like they'll be lighter compared to like their cousins, even compared to you guys. You'll see that like they'll be light in complexion, probably because like a grandparent or something was a bit lighter. Um, so yeah, so you'll see that with these people. These kids as well, they'll be very emotional. So, you know, they don't like to be like separated from the parents. And so you'll see these kids like they'll cry like very easily. Like, like not much has to happen for these kids to cry, you know. Um so yeah, they'll be very emotional, and like anything will just kind of set them off, and get them crying. So you'll see this in the early years. That's They'll have this very emotional side too. But especially the thing like they always want to be holding on to one parent or another. That's what you'll see. Even growing up too, you'll see that you'll see your kid will be especially very good looking, whether it be like a male or female. You'll see that the kid, everybody will give compliments to this kid. They'll be like, "Oh wow, this is a very good looking kid." This will this will be true, but mostly it'll be true in their like older years. Um, you'll see in their older years, they'll be like extremely good looking, If it's a girl, like they'll be very, very beautiful. And if it's a male, you'll see that they'll have like a as well, they'll be like very good looking. You'll see as they grow, even when they're young too, you'll see they'll have like very like chubby cheeks. Um so I don't know, that'll be nice, I guess. Yeah, like very like chubby, like kind of pinchable cheeks, you know. So yeah, so so that's Moon. Um, Over here, let's go to Mars. Okay, so in this situation, you'll see that uh your kid will be first. They'll be very competitive. And this is generally true, like no matter what sign, but this will especially be true if Mars is in Virgo or if this Mars is in Aries. You'll see that they'll be like extremely competitive. Like that's especially true if like they'll do competitive sports if this Mars is either in Gemini, so either Gemini, Leo, or in Virgo. So you'll see they'll do some kind of competitive, something competitive in nature. Like if it's Mars in Virgo, then then it's a competitive sport. Like I don't know, like basketball or cricket, like baseball, something like that. Something that involves like physical activity. You'll see if there's the influence of Venus and Mercury here. So let's say if like Venus is here in Mercury sign. So let's say if this is the case, you'll see your kid will do some kind of competitive either music thing. This could be something like playing an instrument, like guitar, drums, something like that. Or they could do something like competitive dancing here. Like especially with Mars, it'll make some kind of physical activity as well. Okay. So you'll see that they'll be very competitive in nature. This is also the combination where your kid they will definitely be like the protector of the group. They'll defend everybody in the group. So you'll see like if a bully comes up, they will be the ones to stand their ground against others. So this kid will be fearless, and this is you'll see if this Mars is in a fire sign, this is they'll be so fearless and so bold. Like literally nothing will stop them. They won't be scared of anything. Like no challenge will stop them. If in especially in Aries in a fire sign. But at the same time, if this Mars is in any fire sign, Aries, Leo, not as much Sagittarius, but Aries, Leo. This could also happen in Scorpio. You'll see that your kid will have a very explosive anger. So you'll see from a young age, like they'll get upset so quickly from being provoked from the smallest thing. Like they won't, if you don't give them, I don't know, like a slice of pizza or something, or if you give them one less slice of pizza than you, they're gonna start crying, because they'll be very fierce about it. They want to be treated as equals here, like they don't stand up to this discrimination, or they don't tolerate this discrimination. They want, they'll defend anybody and they'll defend themselves. Um, so yeah, you'll see that. But they'll make a very good friend to others because they always have each other's backs. Like they'll always defend their friends. And this is different than the sun because this is the type of thing where they'll defend you even if you're wrong. Like you could be going on about, some kind of nonsense and they'll still defend you, even if it makes like zero sense. These guys will be like, yeah, w what he said, you know, and people would be like, they'll be like, dude, what are you talking about? And somehow they'll find a way to defend you somehow, some way. So these guys, you could say they really have, and they'll display this with other people. They'll display like a brotherly love in that, I got your back no matter what type of thing. So you'll see that with these people. But yeah, you will see though that they will get angry and upset very easily. So that's unless this moon is aspected by like every benefic, like if it's aspected by Moon and Jupiter, then maybe they'll be a bit more calm. But just Mars on its own will give this like this fire to this kid. So you'll see that. So Mars is going to Mercury. This one is very fun growing up because you'll see with your kid that uh you'll you'll play so many games with them. They'll love to play games with you. And this is even one of those things like when you drive with them in the car, they love to play games like, I spy this or this. Uh, so these people are very friendly and they love to play and to have fun. So you'll see as well, your kid, this will especially be true of Mercury's in Gemini. You'll see that your kid will really like to read growing up. Like this is true of, in any sign, but especially true in uh Gemini or even in Taurus. You'll see that. If this Mercury has the association of Venus here, you'll see that, or let's say there, or in the sign of Taurus, for example, you'll see that your kid will either you'll make them play some instruments or they'll naturally gravitate towards some kind of instrument. Like you'll see from small that they'll, do like air drumming, like drumming with their fingers, or you'll see them you'll see them play along with like air guitar. Like if they see someone playing a guitar or some kind of instrument, you'll see them like playing along. So you'll see that they'll naturally be good at playing some kind of instrument. Or if not some instrument, then this could be some kind of art form like painting, singing, dancing, something like this. But they'll naturally be talented at these kind of things. And like really in that kind of case, like any association with Venus here, you'll see that they naturally have the gift from God of being extremely creative. Like they're very creative people. They love to read like fictional books, things like Harry Potter or like Lord of the Rings. It's like fictional, but they love this type of imagination. And actually, this is true even if Mercury is debilitated. So let's say here, Mercury's debilitated. You'll see that your kid, uh, growing up, they'll prefer to be alone, but when they're alone, it's like they like to talk to themselves or they like to play, you know, like they'll be the type of person who has like an imaginary friend growing up. So they'll like to play with them or, like make up scenarios in their head where they'll like play. So you'll see that, but you'll see these kids, if not debilitated or if this Mercury's not associated with Ketu or Saturn, you'll see that these kids will be very talkative. They love to socialize. Like these are the kids, they're 100% not afraid to talk to other kids. So they'll naturally go, like they'll be the one to walk up to some random kid at school and be like, "Hey," and then start talking about something. So they're very talkative, they're very social, um, and they like to be in like social places. Like especially like let's put Mercury here in Aquarius. You'll see that these kids, they love to be in places where there are a lot of people around. Especially when they grow up, they like to go to places like parties or I don't know, some like events like conventions, for example, where they could like really do where they could really socialize with others. Or they like a combination like this, they'll also like to be like on the internet a lot and they like to like talk with a lot of other people. But yeah, you'll see like as a parent, you'll really love this combination because your kid will be very playful. Oh, and you know what? Like your kid will be the one who likes to crack a lot of jokes with you. Like your kid will be like, "Oh, you want to hear a joke that I heard at school today?" And they'll tell you like a joke. They love watching people laugh and they love making people happy, you know. So they also respond very well. Like if you tell them jokes, like they'll really love to hear any type of jokes and things like that. So this is a very fun combination, I would say. They would especially as a kid love to go play at the park, play at the playgrounds. Uh, yeah, but these are very fun-loving people growing up. Okay, so that's Mercury. Venus is next. So Venus here, you'll see that your kid, the first thing you'll notice, like especially as they grow up, is that this kid will be extremely good looking. Like you know how like in kindergarten or like in the age like 5 or 6 years old, still there's always that one like popular kid in class or that like one really good looking kid, and like all the girls will go to this one kid. Um, that's this person here. If your kid has this combination, he'll be like that one popular kid or that kid who's like so good looking and like uh all the kids in class just like gravitate towards this kid. Like this is the type of person who uh they'll have like a boyfriend in like at the age or like a boyfriend or girlfriend at the age of like 9, for example. Like it doesn't even make sense, but you'll see like they'll do it because they'll be like the most like attractive kid in class. So I don't know if you're a parent, I don't know, you could deal with that, I guess. It's either a good thing or not, but uh just you'll probably hear that growing up. They'll be like, "Yeah, I have a girlfriend already," or "I have a boyfriend." So yeah, have fun with that, I guess. But yeah, you'll see that they'll always be very good looking. They'll always like to have like very good haircuts or wear like nice clothes. This will be especially true like later on in life, but they will be extremely good looking. If they're a girl, they'll do their makeup like they'll start doing their makeup at an earlier age than everyone else. Like I don't know when girls do their makeup, but if girls start doing their makeup at like 12, you'll see like your daughter will start to do their makeup at like 9 or 10 years old or like 11, but they'll do it earlier than other people. They'll even do things like dye their hair earlier than other people as well. like they'll be interested in dyeing their hair or getting like piercings. Uh, yeah, like they really like to like look good and experiment with different types of looks that they could have. They'll also like whether no matter who it is, male or female, they'll really like to go shopping. So they'll like to go shopping for like different clothes. You'll see that they'll buy like a new shirt or new top or bottoms or whatever, like every week or every 2 weeks. Like especially in their teenage years, like they'll go and shop for a lot of things all the time. So yeah, you'll see that with these people. You'll see as well that they're very clean people. If you were to go in their room, especially as they're older, they like to keep it well organized. They're not messy people at all. Unless this is aspected by Saturn, or if K2 is aspecting or conjunct with this Venus. So otherwise, this Venus will like to be very clean. So you'll see that these people. You'll see as well, they'll these are the type of people who will get along well with a lot of people as well. Like these are the like in high school or like in their teenage years, they'll be the popular person. They may not be like the most they can be like the most intelligent person, but they have to be associated with Mercury or Jupiter to be extremely intelligent as well. Now, if you if you have Jupiter and Venus here, like this is probably as good as you could get because this is where it's like you have the whole package. You're you're good looking and you're smart. So if you're fortunate enough to have this combination, your kid will have everything, brains and beauty. So that's Venus. Let's move on to Venus, Jupiter, and Jupiter's next. Okay, so Jupiter here. You'll see that these kids, they'll be very, very intelligent. And you'll see even growing up, they'll have a lot of words of wisdom. Like out of nowhere, they'll say something that's very wise that you wouldn't expect a little kid to say. They'll say something that's so wise that you would expect like a 70-year-old, like 70 or 80-year-old guy, like old man to say. Like they would have that wisdom to them. So even in school, they'll be very intelligent. These are the people who they'll be so intelligent that when they're learning, they will they'll pick up the subject. Maybe it might take them a little bit of time, but once they understand it inside and out. It's not that they're memorizing the topic. Like that's definitely not what they're doing. They're not memorizing something just so they could get marks and on a test. They know the subject inside and out. So that's how they'll perform in school. They'll be they'll be learning to actually learn the topic and not just to learn it just to get it over with. So that's what you'll see. Like your kid will be extremely intelligent. Even growing up, you'll see that your kid will be very optimistic, very happy. Like these are the type of people who won't be depressed or sad. They will always have an upbeat attitude and they'll always have like a way to get out of any issue or any problem. So they're very optimistic in that way and they always have some kind of solution. So you'll see that. You'll also see, especially when they grow up, others around, like when they're like in their 20s, even in their teens, honestly, you'll see this trait with them that other people will say, wow, this kid is very wise for his age. So you'll see that. This kid as well, they this kid won't be very scared. They'll be they won't be overconfident, but they'll be like right like neutral. And it's because that they have this positivity that's always with them. Your kid as well will most likely be a bit bigger in size. Now, this is true. So like they may have like a little bigger of a belly. Like if you're like a Hindu, imagine like a little baby Ganesha. Baby Ganesha. Like you see like how he has like a little belly. Like your kid might have a little belly like that. This is true unless this Jupiter has the influence of some kind of fiery planet. So if Mars is here, then they will not have this. That because Mars burns that fat. Same thing, if Sun is here, they will not be like big. So if Mars or Sun aspects, or even if this Jupiter is in a fiery sign, it's most likely that they won't be like large in in appearance. But yeah, this kid will be very loving, and you'll love this kid. You'll love this kid because they're just like a joy to be around. Very very happy kid growing up. They won't be the person who initiates a conversation because generally they'll be a bit quiet. But when you do talk to them, they'll be happy to make a conversation. So these are the type of people who are generally silent until spoken to. And you'll see as well that these kids, they love to give advice on how to do things. You'll see other kids, like if other kids are crying, they'll say like, there's it's like why are you crying? They'll give advice and like really calm other people down. That's what they're good at, is calming other people and giving hope to other people. So that's what you'll see with Jupiter. Okay, Saturn. Okay, so with Saturn here, your kid will be tall, tall in nature and skinny, so very thin appearance. And they could also be a lot darker in appearance than other people in the family. So they might be a bit darker than either their mother or father, or they might be darker than their siblings or cousins. So you'll see that with them. You'll see that these people are as well. These are not the people who will like to start conversations. They like to keep to themselves. They they will only start a conversation if other people like start talking. Though that's not true if Saturn is with Mercury, because Mercury is a very talkative planet. So that won't be true with Mercury. But if Saturn's alone, then they generally won't be very talkative. You'll see as well that your kid they won't be, they won't be the type of person who likes to be in the spotlight. They don't like to be the center of attention. So they're not the type of person who functions well when there's a spotlight or light shining on them. They like to do their work when nobody else is looking. So just know this. If they're doing their homework or they're doing any type of work, try not to like be on them. Let them like have some room. Let them be on their own, and you'll see that they'll start to perform a lot better. So don't be like behind them for every single thing that they do, because they won't do so well if you're constantly on them at every moment. You'll also see that these people, at least a really good quality, is that you're getting a very old soul who is coming as your child here. So not all souls are created at the exact same moment. So you'll see that this person, that your kid, their soul was created a long time ago, and they've been through a lot of things. They've seen so many different parts of the world and different forms of existence. So they know what to expect. And so you'll see that these kids, they're not the type of person to rush into any decision. They understand what happens if you rush into something. They know how what happens when you make a mistake. So they will take their time to make their decisions because they know what happens when you could go wrong. So they understand this and they really do consider all the pros and cons whenever they're looking into any decision. And so because of this, they'll work a little bit slower than other people, but it's so that they don't make this mistake. And it's because in past lifetimes they have made mistakes before and they know the consequences and they really just don't want to experience it again. So if you see that your kid is a little bit slower whenever making a decision, for example, or when choosing things, just let them be how they are because they know what they're doing. They have this inbuilt fear that they don't want to make that same mistake. So give them some time when they're making any decision here. Same thing. You'll see that uh, as well when they grow up, they'll have the same attitude in that they when going with other people, they'll always be that person to ask, okay, did you think about what happens if we don't have this, if we didn't prepare for this or that? So they always want to have these backup plans. And again, it's because they've experienced uh like what could go wrong. So they're really doing everything that they can to make sure things don't go wrong again. You'll see, especially if Saturn is exalted here, they will definitely take their time with any kind of decision, but let them take their time because they'll make the right decision eventually because they've considered all the pros and cons, and so they've made their decision using the facts, and they've really looked into every single possibility that could happen. You'll see as well if this Saturn is aspected by Jupiter or is in the sign of Jupiter, like Sagittarius or Pisces, you'll see that these kids will be extremely wise. This is also true if Saturn is aspected by Ketu. You'll see that um, if aspected by, like, if the Saturn has the influence of Jupiter or Ketu, your kid will be extremely wise in nature. This will be like let's say if Jupiter is here, you'll see that your kid will have the wisdom of a 100-year-old man. So they'll be a bit more stern in nature, but they they really understand the consequences of any decision here. And especially with Jupiter, they mean well for other people, though it may not sound like it. Like their voice may not sound like a positive person, but they have a good heart if the Saturn's associated with Jupiter in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so that is Saturn here. And let's go to Rahu. So when Rahu's here, you'll see that your kid will be very clever in nature. Like your kid will be the type of person who like skips school but still gets a 95% on their test or a 100% on their math tests. And it doesn't make sense how like they're not paying attention or that they're not attending class all the time, but they're still doing extremely well. And you'll see that it's because your kid will be extremely clever. So if their teacher is explaining something in school, they'll already get where their teacher is going within the first 5 or 10 minutes of their explanation. So they've already kind of grasped what is being taught to them. And so even just after like 10 or 15 minutes of your teacher explaining something, they'll already start their homework and like get it done because they know what they're doing already. They know where they're going. They'll say that, okay, we did fractions yesterday and today you're teaching us how to add fractions. So they've already grasped fractions from the past class and what a fraction is. And so they'll generally get the idea of how to do this at adding fractions after just uh, like 10 or 15 minutes of explanation, or just after one example. That's all they need. One example, and then they said, okay, I got this. I don't need to hear whatever nonsense you're talking about. Just give me my homework. Actually, honestly, they probably won't even want to do their homework. But they'll be extremely clever. Even if they don't do their homework or they're not attending class, they'll still do extremely well on their tests. And it's because they have this very clever mindset to them. You'll see that they're naturally very good speakers as well. You'll, you'll see that if your kid gets into trouble, they know exactly how to talk their way out of it. So let's say if, I don't know, they broke a plate or something at home, or they got in trouble at home. They know exactly what to say to get themselves out of the situation. They know they know exactly who to place the blame on and what words will charm you exactly so that they could get out of the situation. They know the exact words and the situation and everything so that they could get out of it. So what I'm saying here, these kids are extremely, extremely intelligent. You'll see that even if they do get in trouble at school, again, they'll still manage to get themselves out of it. So extremely intelligent. You'll see that even as a kid, they'll be extremely good at uh, negotiating with the parents. And that sounds weird, but what they'll do, they'll say something like, "Here, I'll give you my 2 cookies if you give me this entire slice of cake." And the thing is, like he'll say like, "Here, you could have my cookies later if I have your a bite of your cake right now." And so he'll take the bite of the cake, but then there won't even be any cookies to trade. So it's like he'll get this free slice of cake without actually trading to another kid. So he'll be very good at doing things like that, like negotiating. He's very good at doing unfair trades, I would say, like where it really benefits them. Now I know what this sounds like, but you'll see that your kid, especially if it has the association of Mercury here, like let's say if in Gemini or Mercury is in here, you'll see that your kid will be a business person growing up. And especially, you'll see that they have such a clever way of speaking in that they know their way inside and out of the law. Like they know how to bypass all those like terms and conditions. They know how to weasel their way in between that to make every kind of sale or to make all the money. Like they know how to do things in the very like either barely legal or not so legal way, but they'll be so intelligent. Like they'll be smarter than your average person. And especially if this Rahu is in, again, with Mercury or even in Virgo, you'll see that your kid will be naturally good with things like being a lawyer or being, they could even be a doctor, but more so a lawyer, because they just know how to speak and get you out of any situation. And you'll see this from a young age that they're just so good at speaking and negotiating. They'll, you know what? They'll be extremely good in things like a debate club or things like writing an essay because they're so good at proving their points and convincing other people of their side. So again, what you're getting out of this is that your kid is extremely intelligent. This is the kid who's extremely intelligent but doesn't try so hard. That's this kid. Like if Jupiter was here, they put the time to study and are intelligent, and will get like 100%. But this is a kid who does nothing and still gets 100%. So that's the type of kid that you're getting here. Okay, and K2. So K2 here, you'll see that your kid, they are not an extroverted person whatsoever. They really like to have some time or some alone time. Honestly, most of their time that they're awake, they like to be alone. So if you were to bring them to a big birthday party, this would be an absolute like it would feel like a punishment for them. Like they would not want to go. They wouldn't even want to go to their own birthday party. Like that's how much they don't like to be social. And it's because that they already know how to entertain themselves. They already understand, like, you'll see what's special about them is that they'll have imaginary friends that they'll like to play with, or these imaginary friends that they'll have will be real, like spirit guides or real people that they could see and that they would like to play with. So when they like being alone, it's not that they're actually alone. They just like to play uh with like spirits or spirit guides or even this imaginary friend that they would have is a real spiritual guide or spiritual friend who's on the other side that they could either speak with or play with like that. So yeah, their alone time is not really alone. So they just don't like to be with other human beings in that sense. But you'll see with these people, especially later on in life, let's say if this K2 is aspected by either uh, Jupiter or this K2 is in Scorpio or Pisces here, they'll be extremely spiritual in nature. By the end of their lifetime, they'll know how to get like this final liberation in life. So just know that if you have a kid who's born with K2 in Scorpio or K2 in Pisces or K2 with Jupiter, something like this, just know that you just gave birth to a kid who who either will be liberated or has the knowledge to be liberated in this lifetime. That's how special of a kid you just birthed just now. So this is a very special person, but you'll see that growing up, this kid at school, he may not perform so well, but that's because he doesn't like to talk so much. So things like doing like a reading test, he may not do so well, or if he does so well, it'll probably be that he doesn't like to perform these things like reading tests or things like that. Um, so yeah, you'll see as well that your kid well, you'll notice this when talking to them, or even if you hear like their thought process or like get to understand their thought process, their mind, like they'll say something and then just kind of like lose track or like forget what's being said or like just jump to another completely unrelated topic. So a lot of the time they will lose their train of thought, but that's because they have so many thoughts and they have so many like gods and spirit angels who are like speaking into their ears or speaking into their mind all the time. That's that's the reason why that's like imagine talking while somebody's talking to you. It's not easy to like let's say if you're talking about food and then I don't know, someone's talking about throwing up. Like you're how are you supposed to maintain this conversation? Or have you ever tried like counting to 10 while somebody else is counting backwards or something? It's very difficult to maintain this conversation. And this is what's happening in their head because they have spirits or other beings that are talking to them all the time while they're trying to speak. So sometimes they may just get this uh, a little bit jumbled up, or they may lose their train of thought. But you'll see as they get older, they'll get used to it. And so this will only be something that you'll see while they're young, uh, maybe even a little while they're older. Like they may just lose their train of thought. But yeah, I would consider K2 a very special child that you've just given birth to. Um, Again, it depends on the aspects and signs that come here, but it is a very it could be challenging for the parents initially, but it's only later that you'll understand what a gift that you've been given. I would say with this K2. So yeah. So that is that's all the planets in this fifth house. And again, the the signs and the aspects in this fifth house make a very big difference on your kid's personality and what they would be like and what they would like to do. So if you're unsure, you can leave a comment down below. And please make sure to leave a like and subscribe uh, for more content like this. And if you want to know more information either about your spouse or just anything in general, you could book a consultation down below. Everything is on sale currently. Um, so yeah, thank you.